Shocking revelation: Kunming internal meeting minutes expose full-scale crisis. Market experts: Chinese economy rotten to the core, economic recovery claims by CCP deemed a scam. Massive freeze of bank cards in China, bank insider who exposed the issue immediately arrested. Shocking: Chinese students starved for 13 days reveals stark contrasts in treatment of Chinese and foreign students by the CCP. U.S. Congress to hold briefing in support of Falun Gong. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Shocking revelation: Kunming internal meeting minutes expose full-scale crisis. On the evening of May 23, a sensational piece of news spread across the internet. An internal meeting summary among experts from Kunming, Yunnan province, discussing the alarming debt crisis was leaked, leaving everyone shocked by its contents. This document, titled Minutes of the Kunming Urban Investment Expert Meeting, begins by mentioning that Kunming City will face a 200 billion yuan debt maturity in the next 6 months, with the urban investment companies unable to make payments. The city's finances are insufficient, and the province has also made it clear that they won't provide strong assistance. Consequently, several chairpersons of the urban investment companies have traveled to Shanghai to request money. According to the minutes, seeking help from Shanghai is not an asset exchange because Kunming has no assets left to offer. This time, they are directly asking for money due to Yunnan province being a designated target for Shanghai's assistance. Previously, the central government's financial subsidies to Yunnan were transferred from Shanghai, amounting to hundreds of billions annually. The minutes specifically mention that Shanghai has not provided the promised transfer payments to Yunnan since last year, and the central government has not provided any explanation. Given the urgent situation in Kunming, they can only turn to Shanghai Urban Investment for a loan. Now, most of the special bonds have been diverted for debt repayment. In the future, Kunming is considering using the Social Security Fund and Housing Provident Fund for debt repayment. Moreover, the temporary completion of the 1 billion yuan super short-term financing bond by Tianqi was also achieved by diverting funds from the Social Security and Housing Provident Funds. This is a serious violation, and it means that the money people rely on for their livelihoods has been used by the government to repay debts. It is estimated that the people in Kunming, Yunnan, are deeply concerned about this situation. Additionally, Kunming has 12 urban investment companies, so if they all divert funds from People's Housing Provident Fund and Social Security, how large would this hole be? This internal meeting summary quickly circulated on the internet and drew widespread attention. In a recent episode of the financial commentary program, Cold Eye on Finance, the commentator remarked that several major issues have exploded in Kunming, making it truly explosive. The fact that Kunming directly approached Shanghai for money indicates that the debt situation of Kunming Urban Investment has reached a critical point. If they don't grovel and raise funds, it is possible that the 12 urban investment companies will all face a debt crisis. This is not only a problem for Kunming or Yunnan but could potentially affect all the urban investment companies in China, plunging them into junk-level status. This is a very serious consequence. The commentator believes that Yunnan is considered to be at a medium level in China. If a city of Kunming's caliber defaults on its urban investment bonds, it will have repercussions for the urban investment bonds of second- and third-tier cities throughout China. The meeting summary also mentioned that civil servants cannot receive their salaries. Do other provincial capitals in the country have the same problem? Many ordinary people are unaware that their cities are actually on the verge of bankruptcy, and now everything has been exposed. According to political and economic scholar Qing Xiaonong, who previously wrote an article for Radio Free Asia, when local finances across the country encounter an all-encompassing crisis, even if the central government manages to barely maintain its own financial stability, a series of socio-economic problems will inevitably arise nationwide. One of the primary causes behind this is that local governments have long been engaged in a deceptive game of relocating people's savings by utilizing financing platforms like urban investment companies. Essentially, they have been misappropriating the public's deposits held in banks. This practice is a ticking time bomb that is bound to lead to major issues. Once the banks are drained of their financial resources, individuals will be unable to withdraw their savings, ultimately resulting in the eruption of a financial crisis. Market experts: Chinese economy rotten to the core, economic recovery claims by CCP deemed a scam. In the midst of local governments in China struggling with enormous debts and a complete inability to repay them, the rosy predictions made by experts about China's strong economic recovery are being seen as nothing but lies. Ruchir Sharma, chairman of the investment firm Rockefeller International, recently issued a warning in the Financial Times, stating that the Chinese economy is rotten to the core. The so-called economic rebound after opening up is an illusion, and Wall Street's optimistic view of the Chinese economy is a fraud. For instance, Wall Street still promotes the idea that China's GDP will grow by over 5% for the whole year, even surpassing the official growth target set by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, of 5%. However, looking at historical trends, if a country achieves 5% economic growth, it means that its corporate income growth rate should exceed 8%. Yet, in the first quarter of this year, China's corporate income only grew by 1.5%. Furthermore, among the 28 industries in China, 20 of them had lower growth rates than the officially announced GDP. The MSCI China Stock Index has also fallen by 15% from its peak in January. Sharma criticized the hype created by some Western bankers about the imminent rebound of the Chinese economy in an attempt to attract more foreign investment. He said, "In just the past 4 months, this kind of rhetoric has resulted in investors losing hundreds of billions of dollars in China." Taiwan's senior research fellow at the International Relations Research Center of National Chengchi University, Song Guocheng, also expressed a sound of hope that the so-called economic recovery by the CCP is nothing but a deception, serving as a cover-up and a diversion to conceal the severe economic downturn. He said, "From the perspective of the lower strata of society, the issue of youth unemployment continues to rise. Youth unemployment itself serves as an economic barometer. Recently, it was announced that youth unemployment has exceeded 20%. From my professional perspective, there must be a significant underestimation, and I estimate it to be over 25%. Moreover, the calculation of youth unemployment only includes those aged 16 to 24 and does not account for rural youth. It also excludes over 10 million university graduates above the age of 24 each year. Therefore, I believe the issue of youth unemployment is extremely severe." In addition, the latest news is that there are 40 cities in China where over 2 million companies have closed down completely, not just facing losses or layoffs. On May 23, the president of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China, Jörg Wuck, told Bloomberg, "The Chinese economy is facing a prolonged period of bottlenecks." So will this affect the CCP's political situation? Song Guocheng further explained, "The CCP has long relied on providing people with basic needs to gain their support. It is a regime based on ensuring people's livelihoods. If the CCP cannot sustain this livelihood-based regime, social protests, complaints, riots, and even hunger revolutions will undoubtedly occur." He predicted that China's economic problems are highly likely to lead to social unrest and even a people's revolution. Massive freeze of bank cards in China, bank insider who exposed the issue immediately arrested. Recently, China Construction Bank, one of the 4 major state-owned banks in China, experienced a large-scale freezing of bank cards, which has raised public doubts. Following the incident, a large number of people flocked to the bank, waiting in queues for 3 to 4 hours to complete the unfreezing process that takes only 2 minutes. Chinese internet users expressed their straightforward opinion that arbitrarily freezing customers' bank cards is rogue behavior. Banks cannot simply take it for granted or ignore customers' feelings just because their original intentions are not problematic. Mr. Li, a resident of Yunnan province, expressed his concerns, drawing parallels between the mass freezing of bank cards and the bank collapse incident in rural Hunan last year, where numerous depositors are still struggling to seek justice. He said, "China Construction Bank has had a poor reputation for years now. It's the designated bank required by the authorities, and many organizations have to use it. I don't fully trust the reports. Fraud cases cannot be orchestrated by individuals alone, so why haven't they cracked down on so many cases? It's definitely a collusion between officials and businesses. State-owned banks, due to their large scale, often face more severe corruption issues. Currently, the true situation of China Construction Bank remains unknown, as insiders who disclose information are at risk of being apprehended. Mr. Li angrily criticizes the 4 major state-owned banks for being utterly discredited and notorious. He points out that once you deposit money with them, it gets misappropriated, stolen, and if you try to pursue a legal case, you won't win because it's a national entity and they won't grant you justice. Shocking! Chinese students starved for 13 days reveals stark contrasts in treatment of Chinese and foreign students by the CCP. According to an exclusive report by Radio Free Asia, RFA, on May 24, a Kazakhstani student named Jiang Buta said that during her doctoral studies at Northeast Agricultural University in Harbin from March 10 to 23 this year, local police and the university accused her of concealing her Chinese citizenship when applying for a visa and claimed that her possession of a Kazakhstan visa constituted dual nationality. As a result, she was confined to her student dormitory for 13 days, deprived of food except for water, and not allowed to leave. This caused Jiang Buta to become extremely weak and her movements sluggish, to the point where she could no longer walk after 5 minutes. She told RFA that she left China with her parents and immigrated to Kazakhstan when she was 17 years old in 2006. In 2010, she obtained Kazakhstan citizenship. Before and after that, Jiang Buta obtained a bachelor's and master's degree in Kazakhstan. In August 2018, she received an invitation from China and was admitted to Northeast Agricultural University for a doctoral program with a scholarship. In September, she canceled her household registration in her hometown in Xinjiang. After returning to Kazakhstan last week, Jiang Buta requested compensation from the university for the medical expenses incurred due to her confinement and called on other Kazakhstani students in China to pay attention to their safety. As previously reported, it is well known the CCP treats domestic and foreign students differently, especially in its efforts to attract foreign students through large sums of money and high scholarships, which has sparked public resentment. According to reports from CCP state media, in 2018, the number of foreign students from 64 countries along the Belt and Road Initiative studying in China totaled 260,600, while the CCP's scholarship expenses reached as high as 3.3 billion yuan, approximately $467 million. Some netizens on Twitter revealed that the CCP has significantly increased the scholarships for foreign students this year, raising them from the previous 100,000 or 200,000 yuan to 300,000 yuan, approximately $42,430. This has led to some African students boasting on the internet, saying, "My annual scholarship is more than your salary." According to the Sound of Hope, earlier, an online petition called the Citizen's Statement, signed by 295 individuals, circulated, criticizing the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, authorities for their all-encompassing distribution of large sums of money to foreign students. The petition argued that this practice was illegal as it bypassed proper procedures, violated taxpayers' right to information and decision-making, and infringed upon the constitutional right of equal education for the citizens. It called on the CCP government to cease this behavior. The signatories of the statement included lawyers, media professionals, university professors, writers, university students, and social activists. The statement further pointed out that this Great Leap Forward style policy, which relies on massive financial subsidies to attract foreign students, is flawed and abnormal. It is more of a superficial project driven by the desire for quick achievements, and the high cost paid only results in momentary prosperity. U.S. Congress to hold briefing in support of Falun Gong. On May 23, a briefing was held in the U.S. Congress where participating lawmakers and scholars called for international support for religious freedom and expressed solidarity with the persecuted Falun Gong group by the Chinese Communist Party. Nina Shea, director of the Religious Freedom Center at the Hudson Institute in the United States, pointed out that since July 1999, the CCP has deliberately attempted to eradicate all Falun Gong practitioners. There is also evidence showing that the CCP has engaged in live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners. Shou Ziding, a popular YouTuber and host of a military channel, shared his personal experience during the briefing. He revealed that his mother practices Falun Gong, while his father, who does not practice, was secretly sentenced to an 8-year prison term by the CCP upon returning to China from the United States. The verdict claimed his father was an accomplice to his mother. Huang Mingqiu, a former agricultural Bank of China executive in Kunming City, Fujian Province, started practicing Falun Gong in 1997. In 1999, during the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong, he went to Beijing to appeal and was illegally detained by his workplace twice for nearly 6 months. He was detained 3 times, sentenced once, and sent to a labor camp, serving a total of 7 years in prison. He was also dismissed from his job and his family was torn apart, forcing him into exile overseas. Huang Mingqiu revealed that Su Weifeng, a fellow Falun Gong practitioner who was detained alongside him, also tragically passed away in his 30s. Su Weifeng, formerly an employee of a power company, was dismissed from his job due to his unwavering faith. He faced immense hardships and eventually passed away in 2010 while living as a homeless individual. According to investigations by independent organizations, Falun Gong practitioners in prisons throughout Fujian Province have been subjected to inhumane torture, including shackling, beatings, and many have been tortured to death, and some have even been subjected to live organ harvesting. Nina Shea stated, "The CCP's atrocities against Falun Gong are the most severe and least understood religious persecution in the world today, and it may even amount to genocide." Also at the briefing on May 23, the U.S. lawmakers stated the need to stop the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong. Gus Beliricus, chairman of the U.S. Congressional International Religious Freedom Caucus, said, "No one should be intimidated, forced to leave their ancestral home, imprisoned, or even murdered because of their beliefs. We must help these great people, Falun Gong practitioners." Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, was introduced by Mr. Li Hongzhi in Changchun, China, in May 1992. It is based on the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance and teaches people to cultivate their hearts and bodies, leading to remarkable health benefits. Within a few years, the number of practitioners quickly grew to hundreds of millions. However, on July 20, 1999, the Jiang Zemin regime launched a brutal persecution campaign against Falun Gong that continues to this day. According to Minghui.org, a website dedicated to documenting the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong in mainland China, over the past 24 years, at least 4,943 individuals have been persecuted to death, tens of thousands have been unjustly sentenced, and more than 100,000 have been subjected to forced labor camps and psychiatric abuse. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.